We'll have a brand new show tonight with glitz and glam on the marquee. Perhaps a Tony nominee. Stars beam brightly, see them glow. Sell out nightly, SRO. It's time to applaud the Broadway beat. Stars beam brightly, see them glow in the footlights of a show. Life is sweet on the world's most famous street.
Tickets, please.
Take a seat.
Cue the band.
And have your feet to the rhythm of the Broadway beat. The Broadway beat. Broadway beat.
Hello, I'm Richard Ridge, and welcome to Broadway Beat, our behind-the-scenes look at the very best of what the New York theater has to offer. This week we dropped by the opening night party for the new off-Broadway musical Frankenstein, which is playing at 37 Arts. We'll celebrate with the cast, which includes Hunter Foster, Christiane Noll, and Steve Blanchard. We'll also take you into the recording studio where Broadway's feel-good musical Xanadu laid down their tracks for the show's new CD. We'll chat with Xanadu's Cheyenne Jackson, Carrie Butler, and Tony Roberts. But we thought we'd start things off at the American Airlines Theater to once again catch up with the cast of Roundabout Theater Company's new production of George Bernard Shaw's classic Pygmalion, in which film star Claire Danes makes her Broadway debut under the direction of David Grinley. Claire Danes stars as Cockney flower girl Eliza Doolittle, who is turned into a lady by Henry Higgins, played by Jefferson Mays, and Colonel Pickering, portrayed by Boyd Gaines. Joining them in this Shaw classic is J.O. Sanders as Eliza's father, Alfred Doolittle.
What's fascinating is you've got a woman who, who's spirited from the off, and you see that, but she just hasn't the circumstances to fulfill her potential. Then those circumstances are offered to her, but she's in the thrall of Svengali. She's taken out of the street and made into a duchess, but she doesn't have the resources of a duchess. So what's she to do if she were to try and emancipate herself from these men? She's dependent on them. Unfortunately, she finds a solution at the end, but that struggle to define herself and create herself is a struggle that, is the same for many women still, and men as well. It's very fascinating how, for me, the end of the show, when there are real arguments at play, how the audience are really listening, because, as you say, those arguments still matter, they're still present, and they still resonate.
Culture in that I've never seen the movie or the musical, although I did compulsively listen to the soundtrack when I was growing up. So I started out this undertaking in a state of blissful ignorance, and I'd like to think that the Higgins that we've created is very close to what Shaw thought. He's described in the stage directions as being a great baby who's interested in everything, and cries out in righteous indignation one moment, and then sort of whinily coaxes people in the next moment. So there is a Peter Pan element to him, a little boy that's never grown up. He's in a state of arrested development, as is Pickering, I think, to some degrees. And I think being in that state, this also confounds him about women and about his relationship to Eliza in particular.
When you and I first spoke, you had the copy of the script you wouldn't let out of your hands. When were you able to give it up? When was it?
Yes. Well, yeah. When I still have it, upstairs. But I don't have it on stage with me, although sometimes I do. I mean, in Journey's End, I had the script with me off stage, right in my hand, and I would read it, as the play was going under. I'm a sick man.
No, you're not.
She amazing. I think she finds it very taxing to be bringing up Henry, don't you? I mean, she's still having a lot of work ahead of her, and because he is abrasive, opinionated, impatient, and that's what makes him delicious. He's pure Shaw. And what we had fun doing is not making the typical all-indulgent mummy and child. I think she's as prickly as he is in some ways. And so we tried to say, well, where does the apple fall? Is it very close to the tree or is it far away? And we tried to make it close to the tree so that she's not a warm, cuddly figure, but trying to just put up with this, probably the first case of ADD.
What is life but a series of inspired follies? Now, the difficulty is to find them to do. Never lose a chance. It doesn't come every day. I shall make a duchess of this draggle-tailed gutter snake. Oh! Yes! In 6 months. In 3, if she has a good ear and a quick tongue, I'll take her anywhere and pass her off as anything. We'll start today. Now, this moment. Take her away and clean her, Mrs. Pierce. Monkey brand, if it won't come off any other way. Is there a good fire in the kitchen? Yes. Oh, take all her clothes off and burn them. Ring up Whiteley or somebody for new ones. Wrap her up in brown paper till they come.
You know, gentlemen, you're not. Talk of such things. I'm a good girl, I am, and I know what the like of you are.
We want none of your Listen Grove prudery here, young woman. You've got to learn to behave like a duchess. Take her away, Mrs. Pierce. If she gives you any trouble, wallop her.
No!
She's pretty amazing, isn't she? I think another name for her would be Mrs. Fierce. But fierce in a good way. Fierce as she's concerned about Henry Higgins, I think, just as she's concerned about Eliza. And so she stands up for them both on their behalf, and she doesn't want them to get into any kind of trouble with each other.
It's wonderful. It's an athletic experience because you get out and you just start running, and you don't leave the stage until you finish that race. And I do it once in each act. You know, I come on and it's sort of like ready, set, go. All right, let me tell you a couple of things, Governor. This is what I'm thinking. Now, and you're thinking at the front end, as we say, talked about in rehearsal, front foot acting, where you're very much on the forefront of your thoughts all the time. These are very smart people that Shaw writes in all of his plays, but interestingly, he makes, in a way, the smartest guy on the stage is the least educated. And Shaw likes to do that. Or he'll give the smartest things to the most conservative guy on stage who doesn't share his opinions at all, as Shaw's opinions. And he sort of challenges his own thinking, you know. It's just a pleasure. It's a pleasure to get inside this stuff. I've made it my own and continue to find more details. And you start running and don't stop.
Eliza, you are to live here for the next 6 months, learning how to speak beautifully like a lady in a florist's shop. If you're good and do whatever you're told, you shall sleep in a proper bedroom and have lots to eat and money to buy chocolates and take rides in taxis. If you're naughty and idle, you will sleep in the back kitchen among the black beetles and be walloped by Mrs. Pierce with a broomstick. Now, at the end of 6 months, you shall go to Buckingham Palace in a carriage, beautifully dressed. If the king finds out you're not a lady, you will be taken by the police to the Tower of London, where your head will be cut off as a warning to other presumptuous flower girls. Now, if you're not found out, you shall have a present of 7 and 6pence to start life with as a lady in a shop. If you refuse this offer, you will be a most ungrateful and wicked girl, and the angels will weep for you.
Oh, well, you know, it's funny. He's a guy who I think kind of straddles two worlds in ways, because he's very old school in terms of a kind of formality and need of charm and manners and courtesy are very high important. And it tends to be on the socially conservative side, but yet he's attracted to this guy Higgins, who is, you know, a lout, really, who is, you know, has no manners whatsoever. But and I think it's, you know, I think that's why they're attracted to each other. The sort of opposite sides of the same coin attract. But he's very modern in the sense of he is probably the most accepting of this girl from the streets. The classes he's willing, and I'd had a long conversation with David Brindley, the director, and we really felt that it was his experience in India that, you know, having been around, you know, an incredibly hierarchical society, and yet all these incredibly poor, I mean, and hideously poor people that he would have seen, you know, different lifestyles and
a little out of body. It was very overwhelming and thrilling, and you know, I just kept reminding myself to breathe and return to what I knew and the text and the obvious, and, you know, look Jefferson in the eye and, you know, remain grounded. But it was a great joy. Yeah.
You and I spoke during the rehearsal process, and so much has happened since then. I mean, the audience has been put into the mix. Talk about the surprising challenges of playing this role, because, I mean, your accents have to change and working on your voice. What's that been like for you?
Well, the accents, I mean, that was a painstaking process for a while, and it was a bit like, you know, patting my head and rubbing my belly, you know, and doing two opposing things at once. But then the muscles took over, and they started to memorize that information, and I stopped having to think so furiously about what I was doing, and just let it, you know, let it happen. But yeah, no, it's a technically demanding role for sure, but I like that meticulous work, and hopefully I've gotten to the point now where I can sort of abandon all of that and explore the internal life a little bit more.
And sharing the stage with Jefferson Mays.
I don't know how to talk about how appreciative I am of Jefferson. I am in true awe of his focus and his strength and speed as an actor. He's just a virtuoso, and it's such a profound pleasure to have such a close view of his imagination and to get to play with him.
And the audience's reaction to the show?
They're very attentive, and I really think that's a testament to Shaw's writing. It's so brilliant and so compelling and entertaining. You know, it's challenging and satisfying at the same time.
And the best part of the experience up to tonight has been what for you with working on this?
Rehearsing, actually, and just, like, you know, getting dirty in the mud, you know, with such creative, generous people.
Welcome to Broadway. Do you want to come back again? I know you just started.
Of course I do. Yes, I hope this is the first of many plays. I really do.
So pleased to have met you. Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye, Colonel Pickering.
Goodbye, Miss Doolittle.
Goodbye.
Are you walking across the park, Miss Doolittle?
Walk? Not bloody likely. I'm going in a taxi.
Broadway's feel-good musical Xanadu, which has been called Heaven on Wheels, skated into the studio to record the show's original cast recording. Cheyenne Jackson, Kerry Butler, Tony Roberts and company can be heard on the eagerly awaited new CD, which will arrive in stores somewhere around January 8th, 2008, but will be available at the Helen Hayes Theater, where the show is playing, the Xanadu website, and at the PS Classics website, which recorded the CD sometime in early December. Here's a look at Xanadu at their recording.
It's ringing!
She walks in, and I'm suddenly a hero. I'm taken in, my hopes begin to rise.
Can't you tell I'd be so thrilled to see the message in your eyes?
You make it seem I'm so close to my dream, and suddenly it's all there.
Suddenly, the wheels are in motion, and I'm ready to sail any ocean.
Suddenly, I need the answers, 'cause I'm ready to take all my chances with you.
Well, it kind of feels like finally.
You know, it just, we're like so relieved that we're doing it, and you know, it's nice. It's not like crazy. We're going at like a good pace, and so it's relaxing. I think everybody's just so happy that we're finally doing it.
So how strange is it to record the show out of context? I mean, you're so used to singing these songs, you know, on stage with everybody in front of an audience. So when you just have a pair of cans on your head, how does it feel and how different is it?
Well, I already forgot my words, so I had to ask for a book because, you know, like you're cutting out the scenes and stuff. And so I during what song was it? I think it might have been Magic, actually. I look over at Eric like, fear covering my face, like I have no idea what comes next. And so then they stopped and got me the book, and so now I'm looking at that. But yeah, it's strange because also, you know, so much of our show has fun with the music, and I'm trying to throw in little things here and there, but I don't know whether they'll read on the recording. So, you know, without a lot of scenes, you don't get that the show's really, really funny. But, you know, because there's already a recording of Xanadu, so you want to make it a little bit, you know, different, like so people would buy ours and have that show fun campy kind of thing thrown onto the album too. So I'm trying as much as I can to throw in little bits in there.
I love this. This is the best. This is I truly envy Frank Sinatra because he did this every day of his life, or at least whenever he wanted to. But to stand in the middle of the music, usually it's a big orchestra. Here it's a smaller group, but you still feel as if you're inside it, and you hear it so clearly, and you're doing it, and it's being recorded. There's nothing better. I love this stage of the game, or this process. I would do this all the time if I could.
Also, you get in the booth and you're just so smooth. And we were in the recording booth, and the guy's like, "Wow, there he goes. There's that smooth voice. There's Tony Roberts." It just seems so natural for you.
Thank you. It's very nice of you to say. Thank you. Well, I'm just lucky, I guess, but I enjoy doing it. It's fun.
Talk about life over at this theater. I mean, what a great fan base your show has. Tell me what the best part of this whole experience has been for you, and talk about the audience.
The surprise that it's as successful as it is, really, we didn't know and weren't sure, and it was very hard to figure out from rehearsals what this was going to be like, and I balked a lot at what I was supposed to do. I said, "What? I can't do that. I can't sell that." But Chris Ashley and Douglas Carter Bean had a vision about what this should be, and they were right. And it's fun to do it and have it received by an audience that's, you know, just in love with it. So that's the biggest surprise of all to me. Of course, and it's also a wonderful family. We have great people in the company, and we're all very tightly packed into a little dressing room area. Nobody can talk without being heard. And it's 10 people who laugh a lot and have a great time, and we get energized by the audience, and it's a fun gig.
God, how in the world will I go on? Don't walk away. All you gotta do is stay. Don't walk away.
I mean, it's every single day. That's why we do what we do. I mean, the Xanadu, people love it so much. And when I'm tired, and you know, when I'm just like, oh man, I don't know if I can do this today, you get out there and it just lifts you up. It's so fun. It's 90 minutes. Everyone says, "Oh, it's a 90-minute show, in and out." But yeah, it's like 90 minutes. You're on stage the whole time, so it's good. Spirits are high. Things are good. You know, it was a little rocky with, you know, James leaving and me coming in and all that entailed. But you know, it's good. I'm loving it. I like doing my gig. I love my family there. We're in a groove. We're in the pocket. Audiences are good.
And talk about the fans. Now, what are they called? There's two different types of Xanadu fans.
Yeah, there's Fanadoos and the Do Crew. And they're awesome. They're led by Brian and this guy named Wonder Robbie and a couple other guys. And they're just, you know, we just love to have them there. They're on stage and they give us energy. And they, this is the kind of show that needs people like that. So I love when they're there. I think it's great.
Now that you're open and running, what's been the best part of this experience for you?
Oh man, the best part? I think just being in, it's like the little show that could. Everybody thought it was, you know, everyone shitty and just, oh God, everybody was kind of waiting for it to fail. And I think just the story from starting, just this rocky, weird opening, and now it's just, you know, we've kind of proven everybody wrong. And so that is the best thing. It feels like, yeah, you know.
Don't walk away. Don't say goodbye. Don't turn around. Don't let it die. When shadows fall, when day is done, all through the night, all of my life.
A few weeks ago, we dropped by 37 Arts to give you a sneak peek at the new off-Broadway musical Frankenstein, which is based on Mary Shelley's renowned novel. With music by Mark Barron, book and lyrics by Jeffrey Jackson, and direction by Bill Fennelly, Frankenstein stars Hunter Foster as Victor Frankenstein, Christiane Noll as his love interest Elizabeth, and Steve Blanchard as the Creature. We caught up with all of them at their opening night celebration.
Darkness is done, a new day has come, the start of a new revelation. Here in this place, here in this time, the birth of man's salvation.
I thought it was wonderful. The one thing that was great, we had incredibly smart actors. I mean, they really took to this piece and made it their own right from the beginning. So as we're working different scenes, a lot of what they had, they would bring in and say, well, why don't we try this way? Or this is what I feel this scene should be like. There were so many times that Jeff and I looked and they gave us an angle that we never quite thought, that we never saw ourselves. So, I mean, the actors getting as involved as they were really brought this piece to a level above where me and Jeff envisioned it to be. They were fantastic.
They were probably the most intense work period we've had yet, because it really was, we were working on it on its feet, which is a testament to the cast and Bill that it's unbelievable. It's, you know, really reworking a show and in front of an audience, and we were, while the cast was working at night, they were again working with us during the day in work sessions. We would rewrite things. Mark and I would, on one day we went off into a hotel room and rewrote a whole passage while they were rehearsing something else. Came back into the theater. I'd run out into a room, like, give me some quiet so I can write a few lines and come back with new material. And it was a very lively, intense, creative incubator almost. It was great.
And lead his pathway to the light before he's lost to the unknown. Sorrow be the time. For all sorrows are the toll. Every life's traveler must pay. Down the dark, uncertain road to a happier day.
Well, my character is I'm the moral compass, and I like being that. I think you need two sides, because there's the science side and there's the fantastical side of the story that we all know. But there's got to be a moral stance, because what Victor Frankenstein is doing can be viewed by some as immoral, can be viewed by some as groundbreaking and life-changing. And in this day and age where we have stem cell research and people are able to choose what kind of babies they kind of babies they want by, you know, doing scientific experiments, there's going to be a moral argument, and that's what I am. I'm the one that says, let's stay focused here and see what's right or what's wrong.
I'm really loving her sass and sort of what I'm bringing away from the page. You know, the idea that you can add a multi-layered. It doesn't have to be a traditional, like an ingenue thing. I mean, just because she's the heroine doesn't mean it has to be like that. So to find her sexuality, to find her intelligence, I love that she knows a lot. I like that.
Because it's women, we're women. Everybody says, oh, I play the ingenue, I play the heroine, but they have all the same feelings any other type of woman has.
Yeah, and a lot of times you you don't necessarily get it just when you read it, and that doesn't mean it doesn't exist and it's not there. So I think the fun part about being an actor is to be able to add to what's not necessarily been written, and they've been really encouraging me of that, because even when I talked to the writers about it, they said, well, yeah, no, that's what we want you to do. I'm thinking, well, why didn't you write that to begin with? But that's okay. Thank you for letting me do it.
It was extremely painful, both physically and emotionally. The first thing physically we wanted to approach was, as I said to you a couple weeks ago, was about the different maladies of the body, but also the physical pain of being stitched together, sewn so tightly together that you could barely move, and the evolution of that month after month, year after year. And emotionally, it's like a roller coaster, being awoken without a soul, without a spirit, and all of a sudden you're here on Earth and you have no idea who you are. And the process in discovering all that stuff is a terrific workout. By the end of the day, I need some stroking and some soothing, because I'm emotionally spent.
These hands and these ears still hear crying, and we'll never know laughter or song, ever so long as blood of the innocent runs red upon these hands, these detestable hands, and this terrible heart with its poison inside, hated limbs and foul heart. I would tear them apart if I only could feel what I felt when I held her within these hands.
Well, for me, it's been a great process, a great journey to. I think that he has very strong ties to family, and in dealing with issues with family, and becoming an adult in a way before he dies. He becomes responsible for his own creation in a way that I think all parents should be when they have when they have children. It's really taking responsibility for those things that you create, and not just and it can't even be just a parent thing, but even in your own life, the things that you kind of create in life and how you deal with those things. And so for me personally, it was a great journey of like understanding how to deal with my own, with the issues that you create in your life, and I don't know if that makes sense, but and I think that's a universal theme, that we all create monsters, and it's how we deal with them it ultimately reflects how if you're a man or an adult, how we deal, and it was a growing up. I mean, this character really grows up in this piece at the end.
Sun that never rose, the dawn that never came. Why do the things we have seem precious only once they slipped away? Dreams of glory have their price to pay, and far beyond the night lie promises of light. And maybe with the coming of the dawn, there comes another day. Maybe with the